Here in the heart of Costa Rica lies an iconically slow-moving animal, the sloth. Moving upside down from branch to branch in the tree canopy, they spend most of their time eating, primarily seeking out leaves and fruits to eat. In fact, sloths will eat around 10% of their body weight each day. But they're not just physically slow movers. Their digestive system is also incredibly slow. Believe it or not, a sloth will come down to the ground only once a week to poop. Just thought you should know. After which they'll go right back up into the tree canopy, ever so slowly. But hold up, Daniel, why are sloths so slow? Well, that's a good question. It always comes down to metabolism. And sloths have a relatively slow metabolism, which is guided by the fact that they're poikilothermic. What's poikilothermic? Poikilotherms are organisms whose body temperature is determined by its environment. More or less meaning that they're cold-blooded, like reptiles, amphibians, and fish. So because they rely on their environment to basically dictate their body temperature, if it's colder out, they'll eat less, move less, and be a lot less active. If it's a little bit warmer out, they'll be a lot more active. But even still, they have a very low metabolism and a relatively low body temperature ranging between 86 and 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Because of this, energy storage is incredibly important. How they utilize their energy in the trees will determine how much they eat, how far they can move, and how active they are. But that's not the only reason why sloths are so slow. Although, it is a contributing factor to the second reason why sloths are so slow. And it comes down to their musculature. Because sloths only have type 1 muscle, or slow twitch muscles. Basically, this means that they can hold on to the branches for long periods of time. They're incredibly strong for their body size, but they don't have the type 2 muscles, which are fast twitch muscles. These fast twitch muscles would allow you or me to move a little bit faster and be more active. Now, this doesn't harm the sloth unless it gets cold. Remember, sloths are poikilothermic. They rely on their environment to dictate their body temperature. Humans are homeothermic, meaning that we regulate our own body temperature. But we can also shiver. But shivering requires type 2 muscles, the fast twitch muscles. So if a sloth gets cold, it actually can't shiver to get itself warm. So what a sloth will do is in the early mornings is find a spot in the tree canopy, climb to the top, soak up the sun, warm its body up from the cooler nights, and even dry itself off. If a sloth is unable to warm itself up, it will either go into torpor, a type of hibernation, or it may get sick and die. Thankfully though, sloths actually have incredibly dense fur for a neotropical to tropical animal. This dense fur acts as an insulation, keeping the sloth warm when it's cool out and keeping it cool when it's warm out, helping it to better regulate its body temperature even though it is, quote, cold-blooded. And that's why sloths are so slow, but there's more to the sloth's fur than meets the eye. You see, living in the sloth's fur is a micro-ecosystem, a microcosm of all kinds of different organisms, from microbes, insects, and fungi to algae. In fact, there's a species of moth that's entire life cycle is entirely dependent on the sloth. Without sloths, this moth wouldn't exist. How crazy is that? To take it one step further and to help you better identify sloths in general, there are two types of sloths: two-toed sloths and three-toed sloths. 2- and 3-toed sloths should really be called 2- and 3-fingered sloths because it's their forelimbs that they're talking about, the ones closest to their dome piece. These forelimbs on the 2-toed sloth have 2 toes, and on the 3-toed sloth have 3 toes. However, on both sloths, their back feet have 3 toes. So it's important to remember that when identifying the 2 or the 3-toed sloth to look at their forelimbs, what you or I might think of as arms. But beyond that, they're pretty easily differentiated. The 2-toed sloth is in the genus Coleopus, and they tend to have a blonde and brown fur. 2-toed sloths also have larger eyes and a lighter, more tussled coat, while the 3-toed sloth is a bit more iconic for its mask-like face, darker nose, darker eyes, markings that kind of make them look like they're always smiling. And there are 2 species of Coleopus, or 2-toed sloths: the Linnaean 2-toed sloth, found in South America, and the Hoffman's 2-toed sloth, found from Central America down through parts of South America. Personally, I think the Hoffman's 2-toed sloth is the cutest sloth, but whatever. 3-toed sloths are in the genus Bradypus, ironically meaning slow-footed, of which there are 5 living species of 3-toed sloths. The brown-throated sloth, found in Central to South America, the maned sloth, found in a small portion in South America. The pale-throated sloth, found in a part of northeastern South America. The southern maned sloth, found in a very small portion of southeastern Brazil. And of course, the pygmy three-toed sloth, considered to be critically endangered, only found on Isla Escudo de Veraguas, a teeny tiny little island in the Caribbean off the coast of Panama. Sadly, many sloth species are considered to be vulnerable, endangered, or critically endangered in the wild, primarily as a result of habitat loss and deforestation. They rely very heavily on certain types of trees, not just to live in because they're completely arboreal, meaning that they live up in the trees, but also as a food source for foliage and fruits, and even protection from predators. These Central and South American tree dwellers also face issues like car strikes as they cross roads to try and get to other trees. Thankfully, people love sloths. Whether you're going to the zoo or traveling to the jungles of Costa Rica, they're well respected pretty much everywhere. When I was in Costa Rica, I had the amazing opportunity to work with and visit the Costa Rica Rescue Center, where they rescued and worked with 2- and 3-toed sloths, the Hoffman's 2-toed sloth and the brown-throated sloth. Thankfully, places like this exist because they deal with all kinds of issues, from sloths trying to go up electrical poles and cross across the lines and then getting shocked out of their minds, to car strikes and other unfortunate issues. They help to rehabilitate and rebuild these populations in their own backyard. It was so cool to be able to see these, not just in the Costa Rica Rescue Center, but also in the wild. They're such an incredible animal. I love sloths. I don't know really who doesn't. You'd have to be crazy. As always, keep it real, make sure you subscribe, keep it wild, and I'll see you in next adventures.